5 people have been arrested after Just Stop Oil protesters stopped the show at Les Misérables in London's West End last night. Police have launched an appeal for anyone with footage or further information to get in touch. The protesters stormed the stage during the song Do You Hear the People Sing and were met with boos from the audience when they tried to address the watching crowd. Well, the activists then locked themselves to the set, which led to the evacuation of the theatre. Sky's Sabah Chowdhury reports.
Les Misérables had a miserable ending. Just Stop Oil disrupting the famous West End production about revolution. 4 activists stormed the stage with their banners, moments before the interval, at the climax of One Day More. A song about hope in the face of adversity. But what came next was far from hopeful. The protesters went on to lock themselves to the set using bike locks. The show was inevitably stopped and the audience were evacuated from the Sondheim Theatre. Unlucky for fans, some paying hefty amounts to see the iconic show.
For me, it was a little bit disappointing because I was really waiting for this show.
In the middle of the song about revolution, in the middle of the protest, we got an actual protest. I think it's brilliant.
The theatrics, however, came with a serious message. One of the protesters has said in a statement, Rishi Sunak's just approved Rosebank, a new oil project in the North Sea. It will lead to hundreds of thousands of deaths due to starvation as crops fail in the increasingly extreme weather conditions. It goes on to say, am I not like Jean Valjean, that's the play's protagonist, justified in breaking the law to oppose this criminal government and its murderous policies? So far, 5 people have been arrested. And while the theatre says it supports freedom of expression, it stresses not at the expense of their customers. Sabah Chowdhury, Sky News.
Well, let's get more on this. I'm joined now in the studio by Zoe Cohen of Just Stop Oil. Welcome to you. Thanks so much for coming in. So why did Just Stop Oil decide to disrupt a performance of Les Misérables?
Why not?
Well, why not? The people in the audience might say that they paid a lot of money for their tickets and wanted to see a show and didn't really want to see Just Stop Oil on stage.
With respect and love, Anna, I think you fully well know why we do this. You know, you've just been reporting more advising Mediterranean, haven't you? And you've been reporting the absolute acceleration of global temperatures, record-breaking temperatures all summer, like the threshold that world scientists were screaming at politicians to avoid. We've gone past it now, like decades earlier. Young people are desperate. Their parents are desperate. Their grandparents are desperate. Why wouldn't young people do anything peaceful to try to save humanity's future? I mean, it's insane to think that a theatre performance is more important than food on the table.
And yet, for those people in the audience, they will feel we've spent a lot of money on our tickets. This is an important day for us. There's another time, perhaps, to have that debate, not when we've come to see a show we might have been looking forward to for many months.
I know you used to present the climate show on Sky, didn't you?
Yeah.
My heart's really beating fast because I feel like I'm on the Don't Look Up movie. Like, we don't have to keep the news light anymore. We have to tell the truth. How many people have to die? You know, Oxfam say that people are dying every few seconds in the Horn of Africa because of extreme climate drought. 14 million people in this country are struggling to eat because of the cost of greed crisis and the cost of oil and the cost of living. And heatflation, which is a term that people probably don't hear, but it's the fact that the climate crisis is driving up food costs. Heatflation is going to go up and up and up. Unless we have a government who cares, or we, the people, take control, that's what we need to do. There's no one to vote for. You know, you can't... The Tories are bonkers. Labour's not much better. Who can you vote for who's actually going to end new oil and gas and give us the tiny sliver of a chance of a future?
But do you want to get people on board? Because the question people might be asking is, I think during last night's performance, Just Stop Oil asked the audience to join the rebellion.
Absolutely.
But is there a risk you're turning people off your cause with this kind of action? I mean,
There's
I know
no evidence of that, Anna. Honestly, with love and respect to you and your family and everyone listening, there is no evidence of that. The British people can discern between being frustrated at Just Stop Oil and being devastated and terrified about climate collapse. You all know the difference. You can suss that. You're not stupid. They know the difference. And more people are joining us all the time. Have you seen Chris Packham's documentary from a couple of weeks ago, Is It Time to Break the Law? He sets out the case very, very clearly. People have broken bad laws throughout history.
And yet, other protest groups have decided that they are perhaps switching people off their cause. Extinction Rebellion have decided that they are shifting tactics away from disruption and civil disobedience. They feel perhaps they can get more people on board with other methods.
They haven't moved away from civil disobedience. They've taken decisions to do actions in different ways. And I was there at the big one, along with, people from Extinction Rebellion, other movements, Just Stop Oil members. There were 100,000 people surrounding Parliament. It was beautiful, peaceful, inclusive, family-friendly. It was absolutely wonderful whole weekend, and it got almost no media coverage. And yet 5 young people disrupting a theatre production gets loads of coverage. We have to do this. It's morally wrong to take action that is ineffectual.
But is it all positive coverage for you, is my question? Is it all about...
We're having
will
conversations.
people think, I'm going to read up on those issues, or are people going to think, if I go to an event this summer, if I go to Wimbledon or the Ashes or go to another event, it could get disrupted?
I'm struggling for words, Anna. 10,000 people swept to sea in Libya. Millions of people in this country struggling to eat. Hundreds of millions around the world suffering from climate drought, etc. right now. How many more people have to die before it's OK to do the most simple, basic thing? I guarantee you that yourself and everyone watching is only going to regret what they didn't do. Everyone watching needs to go to juststopoil.org and come to a talk and join us on the streets from the 29th of October. You will not regret it. The only thing that people will regret in the years to come is that you didn't take action. This is only going one way, and you and everyone here knows that. You started the Sky Climate Show. When we have, in the year to come, we have the acceleration going off the scale with El Niño. We've already crashed through thresholds that we were supposed to reach in decades. How worse does it have to get? How many kids have to die? How many more young people have to do this stuff? I don't know what else to say, Anna. Why aren't you on the streets with us? That's all I can say. How do you explain your inaction? How do you explain it? Everyone here, all the presenters that we talk to, how do you explain your inaction? How much longer are you going to keep this journalistic objectivity up? Until the water's lapping at your ankles? Until your own kids haven't got food? How long?
And for Just Stop Oil, what's next? Will you continue to disrupt events, or what's the plan?
Because it's morally wrong to not take the action that we know from history has got some chance of having an effect. It has some chance. When we come together as ordinary people, we can do so much. This whole system tells us that we're powerless. Loads of people, you're sitting at home, I talk to lots of people, I've talked to some of your backroom staff, people feel powerless. We are the opposite. When we come together, we have enormous power. There are so many more of us than there are of them. Come together. It's joyful, it's liberating, it's empowering. Come on the streets from the 29th of October. You will feel alive, you will be able to look your kids in the eye. It's that simple.
OK, well, Zoe Cohen, we appreciate you coming in. Thanks very much indeed for joining us today. Thank you. Now, shares of Metrobank fell by as much as 29% at one point this morning, and trading in them was briefly suspended as